In this lesson, I am going to cover your Test 1 study guide. This is a very good guide for you to know what is going to be on your first test. Your test will consist of approximately 20 to 35 questions. I put extra examples on your study guide just so you can have enough practice before you take your test. So make sure you let me know if you have any questions. Sometimes we have review days, sometimes we don't. But if there is not a review day, remember you can always contact me either by email, which you know is best, or you can come see me during my office hours. So please let me know if you need any extra help. The homework for 0.1 through 0.5 and section 1.2, they're both due the day of your test at the beginning of class. So just make sure that you remember that you do have to turn in your homework during that time and that no late homework is accepted. So let's start off section 0.1 to 0.5, the pre-algebra review. So we are going to multiply and divide as indicated. Make sure that you simplify if possible. So in your test, you should expect to have multiplication and division in the same section as it is here. So make sure you pay attention to which one is which. So in the video that I taught you this concept, we talked about using different colors. So feel free to do so. I'm going to use a different color because remember we know that we can simplify before we can multiply. So this first problem is multiplication. So my 7 and 21 have something in common. 7 goes into both of them. So 7 goes into 7 one time. 7 goes into 21 three times. And then my 5 and 15 are going to simplify to be a 1 and a 3. So when I multiply here, you remember you multiply straight across. So I multiply 1 times 1, which is 1. 3 times 3, which is 9. So my answer here is 1 over 9. On number 2, this is division. So remember your rule, keep, change, flip. So you keep that 5 over 17 the same, change that division to multiplication, and then you flip that second fraction to be 34 over 15. So 5 and 15 are easy to see. You can simplify those by a 1 and a 3. Now the 34 and 17 may not be as easy to see, but 17 is your common number. 17 goes into 17 one time. 17 goes into 34 two times. So to multiply straight across, 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. So your answer here is going to be 2 over 3. Okay, on number 3, it is also division. So we first have to keep this first fraction the same, change your division to multiplication, and then flip that second fraction to be a 25 over 14. So 7 and 14 will simplify to be 1 and 2. And then 15 and 25 are going to simplify to be a 3 and a 5. So 1 times 5 is 5. And then 3 times 2 is 6. Moving on to number 4. We can simplify first because this is multiplication. So 10 and 20 will simplify by dividing them both by a 10. 10 goes into 10 once, 10 goes into 20 twice, and then 9 and 27 are going to simplify. So 9 goes into 9 once, 9 goes into 27 three times. So 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 2 is 6. So we get answers of 1 over 6. All right, now for addition and subtraction. So remember, when you're adding and subtracting, you have got to have a common denominator. So on number 5, well, we notice that 8 goes into 24, so 24 is going to be our common denominator here. So our common denominator is 24. And remember, you can use the multiples if you want to use those. You could have multiplied 8 times 24. So if you don't remember how we did that, you can always go back to that lesson from 0.1, and that will help jog your memory. So from 8 to 24, we multiplied by 3. So my new number up here is going to be a 21. And I get that because 3 times 7 is 21. And then 24, that didn't change. So that means we keep that 15, which was the same. Now I have a common denominator, so we're going to add these together. 24 is my common denominator that I'm going to keep. And then I combine my numerators. 21 plus 15 is 36. And you can divide them by a common number. I see that 12 is a common number. So 36 divided by 12 is 3. 24 divided by 12 is 2. So my answer is going to be 3/2. Now, if you went ahead and divided it only by a 2 or only by a 3 or by a 6, that's fine. You just would have had to repeat that process a couple of different times to get that answer of 3/2. One other thing that I don't think I've covered yet in any of the lessons, please leave all of your answers as improper fractions. And all an improper fraction is just a big number over a smaller number. That just means your larger number is on top. A lot of students were told in grade school that you have to change it to a mixed number, which in this case would be 1 1/2. However, if you were to change this to a mixed number and you would have gotten it wrong, then I can't give you credit because I don't know what you actually meant. So don't do more things than I'm actually testing you over. Just leave it as an improper fraction. Just as long as you know it's in simplest form, you'll be fine. So on number 6, we can do this one just about the same way. Oops, it's subtraction. So we know that 9 goes into 18, so 18 can be our common denominator. So we didn't change this first fraction at all, so that's going to stay as an 11/18. But on the second fraction, from 9 to 18, we multiplied it by 2. So remember, what you do to the bottom number, you have to do to the top number. So my new top number here, 2 times 2, is going to give me a 4. And 11 minus 4 is 7. So we get 7/18. All right, so on number 7, this is a problem where you can use multiples. So remember, the multiple method is when you take a number and 18 times 1 is 18, 18 times 2 is 36, 18 times 3 is 54. You can just keep going and going and going. And I want to label my multiples, so this was my first, second, and third. And then my multiples for 12, give me 12, 24, 36. So notice the common number we found is going to be 36. So 18, in order to get 36, we multiplied it by 2. So my new number up here is a 10 because 2 times 5 is 10. And then for 12, I used my multiple of 3. So I multiply both of those numbers by 3. 7 times 3 is 21. So now I combine those to get 31/36. That does not simplify, so we are finished with that one. Okay. All right, now let's look at number 8. On number 8, we are going to want to use multiples again. So on 27, we have 27, then 54, then 81. Okay, that one was a little harder. And then on 18, we have 18, 36, and then 54. So I want to label my multiples, and my common ones were the number 54. Okay? So 27, I used my second multiple. So I multiply that fraction by those 2's. So I get a 22 here, because 2 times 11 is 22. And then for my 18, I used my third multiple. So I multiply that fraction by these 3's to make this now a 15. Okay? So now I subtract. 22 minus 15 is 7 over 54. Now, just as a helpful little hint, I do give you these answer spaces, and I expect you to use them. So whenever you are working your homework problems or your test problems, you do have to put the answers on the answer space in order for me to count the answer correct. I do not give you credit if you do not actually put the answer in the answer space. So please make sure you do that for me. Looking at number 9, they just say write the opposite. Well, the opposite of 10 is negative 10. And then the opposite of negative 18 is positive 18. That one's simple enough. Now we're going to start getting a little fancier. For number 11, they're asking us to find just the absolute value. And remember, that's what these straight up and down bars mean. So the absolute value of negative 12 is going to be 12. The opposite of the absolute value of 3. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. Opposite of that would be negative 3. Okay? Absolute value of 4 is just 4. How many spaces is 4 away from 0? That would be 4. And then on number 14, the opposite of the absolute value of negative 10. So the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. The opposite of that would be negative 10. So on 15 through 18, they're asking us to complete the statement using the less than, greater than, or equal to symbols. Well, negative 4 is blank 3. Well, 3 is the larger number, so negative 4 is less than 3. Remember, you always want this open side to be facing the larger number, if that helps you. Negative 15 and negative 22. Well, which person would be in better shape if they owed $15 or if they owed $22? So negative 15 is the larger of the two negative numbers. So on number 17, the opposite of the absolute value of 15. The absolute value of 15 is 15. Opposite of that is negative 15. Then over here, notice how it's just the opposite of 15. The opposite of 15 is negative 15. So we know these two are equal. Then on number 18, the opposite of the absolute value of 15. We just did that up here, which is negative 15. And then over here, the opposite of negative 15 is a positive 15. Positive 15 is larger than negative 15. So I'm going to say negative 15 is less than 15. Okay? So now let's look at 19 through 23 on page 2. Perform the indicated operation. So remember, these are our adding rules. Remember the rule: when you're adding, you have to look. Are your signs the same or are they different? If they're the same, then you add and keep the sign. If they're different, then you subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. Then, if it's subtraction, your rule is keep, change opposite, then use your adding rules. So on number 19, your adding and your signs are different, so you subtract them. 6 minus 4 is 2. And then which number is larger, 4 or 6? The answer is 6. So since that's positive, that means my answer is positive. Okay? So now, 3 minus negative 2? Well, the rule for subtraction is keep, change, opposite. So now that says, what's 3 plus 2? The answer is 5. Okay, on 21, this is multiplication. See how it's getting a little tricky in here. We're going to have all of these operations in one group, so you're going to have to really pay attention to what they're asking you. So negative 5 times negative 9. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive. 5 times 9 is 45. On number 22, take it one step at a time. Act like that 8 isn't even there. 3 plus negative 11. Well, your adding and your signs are different, so you subtract them. So that gives you 8. 11 minus 3 is 8. And it would be a negative because your 11 was the larger of the two numbers, and it was negative. Okay? Now we do the plus 8. Negative 8 plus 8. You're adding and your signs are different, so you subtract them, and that leaves you with a 0. Now number 23, it doesn't look like it's as clear on your screen as it is on my paper, but this is division. Negative 120 divided by 10. Well, a negative divided by a positive is a negative. 120 divided by 10 is 12. Okay. Got some more here. Now let's look at numbers 24 through 30. So on number 24, it's subtraction. So we're going to keep, change, opposite. So negative 3 plus 6. So you are adding and your signs are different. So you subtract them. 6 minus 3 is 3. And then your positive is the larger number. So your answer is positive. On number 25, keep, change, opposite. So negative 7 plus 7. You're adding, your signs are different, so you subtract. So that gives you a 0. 0 minus 4 is going to give us a negative 4. Because if you keep, change, opposite, that gives you a negative 4 there. Okay? On number 26, this is division. 12 divided by negative 3. Well, positive divided by a negative is a negative. And then 12 divided by 3 is 4. On number 27, well, this time you're adding and your signs are the same. Okay? They're both negatives. So that means that you add them together. 12 plus 5 is 15. Let me try that one more time. 12 plus 5 is 17. And then you keep the sign. So since they were both negative, that gives you a negative answer. So that's negative 17. Okay, so this is multiplication. So you just multiply from left to right. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And then negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. Now this next problem is division. You're dividing negative 100 by negative 25. Well, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And then 100 divided by 25 is 4. And then when we look at number 30, keep, change, opposite, because it was a subtraction problem. Now you're adding and your signs are the same. So you add them together. 3 plus 6 is 9. And then you keep the sign of what your numbers were. So since they were both negative, that means your answer is negative. Okay, so now on 31 through 36 on this page, we're going to do our order of operations. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or you're actually used to me doing this. So whichever way you like most. So let's start off on number 31. We've got 3 times 6 plus 2. So we have to do what's in parentheses first. So since we're not doing anything with that 3, we're just going to bring it down. 6 plus 2 is 8. Now, it's just a multiplication problem, because remember, when you have a number right next to a set of parentheses, that means multiplication. So 3 times 8 is 24. On number 32, 2 plus 7 times 5. So we have addition and we have multiplication. Well, when you look on your order of operations, which one comes first? Sorry about that. Multiplication does. So we have to take care of the multiplication first. So we bring down the 2 and the addition sign. So 7 times 5 is 35. And now we add 2 plus 35 is 37. On number 33, we have division and addition. So you have to look and say which one comes first. Well, division comes before addition, so you have to do that part first. 48 divided by 4 is 12. Bring down the plus 4. And now you do 12 plus 4, which is 16. Okay, 34 is fun. First thing we need to do is our parentheses. Let's get those out of the way, and that should help us see what we need to do next. So you bring everything else down. So 5 minus 3 is 2. Okay? So now it's division and subtraction. Division comes before subtraction, so we're going to divide 40 by 4, which gives us 10. Bring down your minus 2. 10 minus 2 is 8. Now let's look at number 35. Well, we've got parentheses, division, and subtraction. Well, we know parentheses always comes first. So 5 plus 16 is 21. Then we divide by 7 and then subtract by 2. So we're just going to bring everything else down. So now that parentheses is done, division comes before subtraction. So 21 divided by 7 is 3. Then 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, so now let's look at 36. All right, they are really starting to get tricky here. So we have parentheses and then we have multiplication. Well, we've got to do what's in parentheses first. But the tricky part is that we have to still follow the order of operations inside of that set of parentheses. So in the set of parentheses, you have addition, multiplication, another addition, and subtraction. So you have to do the multiplication first. So we're going to do this first. So we get 2 plus 12, because 6 times 2 is 12. And then I'm going to bring everything else down. Now we've got addition and subtraction in there. So we're going to add the 2 plus 12, which gives us 14. Then we're going to add 14 plus 2 to give us 16. And then 16 minus 4, which is 12. Now we're left with a simple multiplication problem. 12 times 2 is 24. Okay? So now when we look at page 4, we have a couple more of our order of operations problems. So whenever you have fractions in there like this, I recommend you go ahead and simplify everything you can in that fraction first. Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify everything we can in this denominator here. That's going to give us 27 over 2 plus 3 is 6 plus 4 is 10. No. 2 plus 3 is 5 plus 4 is 9. So sorry. I think I've made too many videos today. Now we do our division because this is 27 divided by 9 plus 3. So you have to do the division first. So 27 divided by 9 is 3. Bring over your plus 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. So on 38, got to simplify that denominator first. So we have 5 minus 4, which is a 1. Well, 8 times 1 minus 3. 8 times 1 comes first, and then 8 minus 3 is 5. So that was just simplifying this right here. So we still have the 45 up top, and the bottom number is now a 5. So 45 divided by 5 is 9. Okay, so now looking at number 39. Let's go ahead and simplify that fraction first. 5 minus 1 is 4. So 8 divided by 4 times 3 plus 6 times 3. So we can do our parentheses first. 3 plus 6 is 9. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And it's all multiplication from here on out. So 2 times 9 is 18. And then 18 times 3 is 54. So now on section 1.2, we are evaluating algebraic expressions, which means they told us what these variables represent. Now we have to plug those into our problem. So x was -3. Y was 6. And remember, when we plug in a variable, a number for a variable, we always have to surround it with those parentheses. And then z is -4. So we have addition, subtraction, and then this right here is multiplication. So you have to do that first. So we've got -3 plus 6, and this 3 is negative. So -3 times -4 is a positive 12. So -3 plus 6 is 3. 3 plus 12 is 15. So now we have 41. On 41 we have 2 times -3 minus 4 times -4 over 6 minus -4. Okay, so we've got multiplication here and here. But remember, in this other diagram I drew for you on page 3, I wrote it this way, and remember, the M and D have an arrow from left to right, AS has an arrow left to right. So multiplication and division, it's very important you do them from left to right. So that's why we're going to do this 2 times -3 first. That gives us -6, and then -4 times -4 is a positive 16. Over 6 minus -4, well, that's subtraction. So you keep, change, opposite. So 6 plus 4 is 10. Now we have -6 plus 16 is a positive 10. Let's say that you owe the bank $6. If you put $16 in the bank, well, you actually have only $10 because you had to pay them back $6. So 10 divided by 10 is 1. But why is 1 not the answer? It's not the answer because we still have to add the value of W. W is 2, so 1 plus 2 is 3. I would not be surprised if you were to see a problem like that on your test. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. All right, that is it for the study guide. So if you can do the study guide, you can do the test. So what I always tell my students, a way to study is to print out a blank study guide and just work it. Check your answers with mine. If you get the same answers as me and you're able to complete the study guide without using your notes, then you're going to do great on the test. I wish you the best of luck.